Oh, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Friday Night Dive, the Dive Live. That's right. I'm your host, Mark Camire. If you didn't know, from the Feeding the Monster podcast feed. How goes it? If you can't tell, I am very enthusiastic, and it's not because I've already hit the sauce early. No. I have. That's not the point. I'm enthusiastic because we didn't do a show last week, and I am excited to be back. So I hope you're excited to get into the conversation because your excitement will make me excited. Uh, yeah, how's it going, everyone? It is it's been a week, man. It's I feel like I say that every single time, but look, you try your hardest to maintain through the week so that you can get to Friday and so that you can enjoy the weekend, right? And sometimes, it just feels like every single week you're just working for the weekend. Am I right? And lately it's been something of a task, at least as far as I'm concerned, over where I'm at, maybe also where you're at. It's been crazy in terms of weather changes, in terms of just the status of the world. We're still in a pandemic and everything, and but it's getting better. It's trying to get better. We'll see. We'll see. That remains to be said. But it is the month of March, and I am officially declaring it. Uh, m- March is no longer the time for March Madness. It is Mark Madness. That's right, because it's my birth month. My birthday is later on. I'll probably get more descriptive on that when it happens if you don't know already. And yeah, I feel like this is a good time to just sort of bring it all back and give you the content that I know that you you subscribe and pay for. And by pay, I mean you don't really pay for it. You pay attention, and sometimes, and that's about as good as we can hope to get it. And I'm okay with it. So having said that, and I'll just say it from the top of the show, if you do follow the Feeding the Monster podcast feed, which you should, on podcast form and the YouTube, is of course, but in podcasts, you need to know that all of our shows will be coming back. Some of them are already back because a few of us are non-slackers, unlike your boy here. But this will be the month when we bring back your good old favorite rantings of a maniac. That's right. The maniac is returning with some more rants. I was thinking about giving it a name brand change, and I may still do that. But for now, we're just gonna keep it simple. All the rants you love about the things I talk about, mostly nerdy things, or as I say in my intro, the things I love or loathe, the things that make me laugh or cry. It's all there. And coming up this coming up this month, I will be bringing it back. So look forward to that. If you get a kick out of what we talk about tonight, then you're definitely going to want to tune in when I bring the podcast back, because I have a lot more to say about WandaVision. So look at that. We've already got people in the chat. That's good. Am I planting a flag in it? I've already planted my flag. It is there to stay. McGee didn't make a march flag. Well, you should. But then you can just actually, no, you don't need to, because you already have a march flag, and that's just the flag that says Mark on it. That'll be the march flag. How about that? So, hello everybody. Gladness. I think Hillbilly meant to say gladness, but it's okay. We'll let it be what it is. Hello everybody. Hello, glad to have you. Glad yeah, that's that's not. Maybe I should call it rantings of a muncher. No, because I feel like that can be taken in so many different ways. It's fine. Well, as we always do here on the dive, we start off by letting you know that well, we grab a drink, your favorite beverage or herbal remedy, whatever, it's your choice. It's all good. And we kick back and we enjoy as if we are talking in a pub or a dive bar, hence the name. Right now, you got me drinking rock and rye, slow and low. I've mentioned slow and low. It's a rye whiskey that I'm quite fond of, and yeah, that's what we're drinking tonight. Yes, that's right, John. You do now. From now on, March is now Mark, so it's Mark Madness, and that's on brand because I'm the maniac. I'm crazy. But I don't know. I kind of like Munch Madness too. That one's that one might stick. There we go. The CH can be like the hard k sound. So there you go. It's so you can still spell it March, but you'll pronouncing it Mark. It works on two different levels there. So how are you all in the chat? How and all of you out there, like, what's going on? How are you feeling? How was your week? Are you okay? Are you maintaining your health the best way you can, both mentally and physically, and emotionally? Because I'll tell you something, emotionally, I'm having trouble because let's just jump right into it, man. Tonight, or today rather, was the final episode of this season of the Disney Plus series Marvel Studios WandaVision. And look, I'm just gonna say, okay, so at the top, I've already said that there's gonna be no spoilers because it's still a fresh episode. If you want a spoiler talk, wait for it. I promise you'll get one, and I promise I will have like I said, I'll have a lot more to say. But for tonight, it's just gonna be casual. We're gonna avoid the spoilers, at least for the finale. Okay. I'm going to assume everyone else is mostly caught up with everything else that's going on. Okay, because there's no way you can't. There's no way you can talk about it without revealing some things of the series. But I will avoid the happenings of the finale episode. So as long as we're clear on that, it's cool. When they first announced that they were going to do this show, I was on board. I was already on board. I'm very notoriously I'm shilling out for Marvel without getting paid for it. And that's basically because I love the product. I love what they're doing. I love all the stories that we get. And how dare you? I really legitimately enjoy everything the MCU has been so far. Even the things that a lot of people kind of shit on, or they kind of say, "Nah, see, this is no good." I can usually find something redeeming about it, with one exception, maybe, but we won't talk about that. Nevertheless, when Wanda and Vision were introduced in Age of Ultron, I thought, okay, we are either in for something long-term and crazy and amazing, or this will be a one-off and it'll be no big deal. And I should have known. I shouldn't have even had that thought. I should have known right in the moment I thought it, that no, are you crazy? There's no way they would do that. I couldn't have known back then in 2015 that Disney Plus, a streaming platform, would come about. I guess I should have maybe assumed, but I never assumed. And I certainly didn't think we would get a whole series dedicated to these two characters. Would I have imagined it and loved to have seen it? Sure. But I thought it was all about the movies. And I knew for a fact there was no way we were going to get a movie that was only Wanda and Vision centric. I knew we would never get that. Just for practical reasons and just storyline purposes too. I knew we'd never get it. But the good people over at Marvel, aka Kevin Feige and company, they said, okay, well, now we've got Disney Plus. They need content. Okay, we'll give you content. We will give you shows that tie into the MCU as a whole, and on top of that, we'll give you movies. We now have the opportunity to explore other avenues of our characters that we already have introduced. And maybe if these characters aren't as popular as our top three, then maybe a series will help that. Maybe a series will change people's minds. Now, I don't presume to know what goes on in the minds of the Marvel think tank, but I know Kevin Feige's a fan, and I'm a fan, so I can only my perspective can only be in similar vein. You know what I mean? You should get glasses for that. Do they make glasses for goblins? Goblin glasses? Is that is someone's profession? Is there a goblin optometrist out there that can help our poor friend Sam? Not my friend, but friend of the show. Please get at him at Sam Elliott on Twitter. Excuse me. So, introducing the idea of a WandaVision show, I'm on board, because I remember going back and saying, because nobody was really, and to be fair, they weren't really giving Wanda her just due. If you've read any comics or seen anything in the other mediums of what Scarlet Witch is capable of, then she is uber powerful. And the MCU had toned down her powers, and I had always assumed they did that because, one, they kind of have to, because they didn't have the opportunity to say, oh, she's a mutant, which would, and she'll evolve. They couldn't do that. So my guess was, well, they don't want to make her too powerful because right now I don't think people would accept it, or we have all these other characters to contend with, and we can't have some of our second tiers like Vision and Wanda show up and basically blow them out of the water, even though traditionally they can. But nice. I am reading the chat. It's not. It's distracting, but I love it. So, what better way to get people's attention than with a series based on these two? And not only that, a series that is so wacky and so out there that it would hold people's attention, if nothing else, just for the sheer weirdness of it all. So I was in. I was so in. I could see the influences they were taking for this show. Tom King's Vision run, and House of M. Not to mention probably some other stories from the comics as well, but those two are very predominant. And you can tell. But make no mistake, WandaVision is not an adaptation of both of those stories. They are taking elements and combining them. And I'll just say it, man. This show has been nothing short, for me, than spectacular, because after one episode ended, I didn't know what to expect next time. And that would end, and I still didn't know what to expect. And that's the thing about this show. No one knew what to expect from it, but they tried so hard to guess it. And I guess that's really ultimately what I want to talk about is the expectation level. Okay? The show did what it does, what a good show does best. It presents people, it gets people talking. If there was such a thing as a water cooler show, if those existed anymore, this would be it. Mandalorian as well. That's what I think Disney's doing right with their streaming shows right now, is they're giving you an episode week by week. like old TV, kids. That's what we didn't used to binge right away. We used to just get them one episode a week, and we just had to deal with it, and we would have to speculate after it was over until we got to see the next episode. And the problem with this show is because it's so good and intriguing and weird, it would spark the inevitable fan theories. Everything, I mean, it's the MCU. Fan theories are gonna be galore with anything. But I don't know why people just assume that the fan theories have to go. See, that's the thing. Because the fan theories get so rampant, and people start sharing them, and people start taking comments or quotes from the creators and take them out of context, that they then develop an expectation in their head. Here's my fan theory, and this is what it should be. And if it's not this, then they've really messed up and they've made a mistake, and that means this whole show was shit. And I saw that. And I would love to hear the fan theories about March. Excuse me, Mark. But that's what I saw this show was doing. On one hand, I was happy that Wanda and Vision were getting their just due, because I think they're great characters. And if you tell a good enough story, an engaging story about them, people are going to change their minds. They're not going to think, it's like, Wanda and Vision, whatever. Like I was hearing that when Civil War came out. Like, why didn't Wanda and Vision just end the Civil War with this? Like, no, because that's not character growth. That's not character development. That's stupid. Use your head. That's not what it's about. And I heard the same thing about, I think people were finally tuning into their dynamic and their relationship when like Infinity War and Endgame were happening. Mostly Infinity War, because they had a very strong story piece. But still, people, I think, were unconvinced. And I remember when the trailers were coming out for WandaVision, and people were still like, what the hell is this? And why are we getting a show about Wanda and Vision? Who cares? Now everybody cares. Everyone cares so much that the show has been, this is what I will say. Again, no spoilers for the finale, but I will say it ended the way it needed to end. It ended consistently with how the show has been. In my opinion, it has. And of course, it ended in a way that took a lot of fan theories and just blew them out of the water. And they warned people. They warned, like, the director, Matt is it Shankman? He had to get on, like, he either did an interview or went on social media and went, hey, yeah, I really hope you guys aren't going to be disappointed, because with all your fan theories aren't going to go the way you think they're going to go. And look, I think fan theories are fun. At least they were fun. But fandom has killed it. They've killed the fun of fan theories, because now, if the fan theories, it doesn't matter if they're good theories or not, if they don't go a certain way, then everyone just shits all over the finished product. It's not just Marvel. It's it was going on with DC for a little bit, for the people that cared. It went on with Star Wars. It's still, hell, it went on with Mandalorian. I think Mandalorian kind of had the opposite effect. People had an expectation of one thing, and then it turned out to be something else that they couldn't have imagined. And then it was all of a sudden, oh my God, this is so great. But just because the product didn't live up to this made up expectation that you develop through fan theory doesn't mean that the final product was bad. And no, it's true. Nobody likes anything. And that's ultimately what's really, I'm trying to not let that bother me. I'm trying not to, but I can't help it because social media is a cesspool of just the angry fandom. And it's almost like, why do I even bother talking about any of this stuff? Because it's all fandom related, and I really don't like the state of fandom. So why even contribute? But there's a reason why some of your favorite people aren't they're not on social media anymore. There's a reason why a lot of people you used to follow who used to talk about this sort of thing don't, because they just can't anymore. And I don't blame them. However, I know myself, and I know how I am, and I know how I get. So I have to talk about these things because I love it, and it sparks conversation, and it gets me excited. So having said all that, do I think WandaVision stuck the landing? Hell yes. Do I have so many more questions? Of course I do. Did any of whatever pea brain theories I had come to fruition? No. Not one of them. Not one of them. And am I mad about that? No, not really. No. Maybe one tiny thing was kind of like, that would have been nice to see, but I get it. But I get why I didn't get it. See, and I don't know, maybe that's the way it should be. You just kind of have to put your expectations aside, because like, especially for a show like this, because at what point in this show did we ever feel like we knew exactly what was going on? I know everybody uh ooh, well, you better share some of that. um I know a lot of people called the Agatha thing, um and again, that's not a season finale spoiler, that's just a thing, like Agatha Harkness. um I know a lot of people called that, but looking back on it, I don't think they were trying to really hide it all that much. It seemed like, yeah, this is gonna happen. If you're paying attention to the context clues, this is gonna happen. The true twists were everything else. The real twists, happened last week, I think, and then like the revelation of last week, and then the events of today's episode. But last week, it was revealed that the the Mind Stone, which we thought, and here's another thing, everyone thought this was a retcon. It's like, oh, the MCU's just retconning their own material. Like, no, they're not. We were led in Age of Ultron, we were led to believe that the Mind Stone gave Wanda and Pietro their powers because the Infinity Stones can do stuff like that. And what we find out is no, what the Mind Stone did was awaken something that was already dwelling inside of Wanda. And by awakening this particular ability she has, which is chaos magic, she was able to manifest the power. And think about how, like in Age of Ultron, that's the first time she's using any of those abilities, both of her and Pietro. So the fact that she would be able to learn and adapt so quickly to the things that she can do, even by those standards, is pretty impressive. So just imagine the things she could do if it's even further, if the power is expanded even further. And I think that's the point of WandaVision is, that's one of the little bullet points. That's not the main point. The main point of the show is that we have to learn how to deal with grief in our own way, but ultimately we can't put our grief on other people. We have to deal with it ourselves. And sometimes we have our own coping mechanisms, but that we have to ultimately deal with it ourselves in our own way. Because the more you project onto other people, the more your grief transfers onto them, and then suddenly they're feeling your grief. And empaths will feel your grief and share that with you, but that's still, it's your grief, and you have to find a way to make peace with it yourself. You can't you can't take it and just bury it. It's something that you have to confront, because the more you bury it and the more you just kind of hide it deep down, it's going to explode one day, one way or another. And it might explode on somebody else, more than likely. Yeah. And you might be in danger of ruining something beautiful by not dealing with your grief, again, in your own way, but because everybody's way of dealing with things is different. But if you don't deal with it, if you hide it, if you suppress it, it can backfire. And that's but the silver lining is, and this is what the show is trying to tell us. The silver lining is hope and love will help you overcome that, and you don't have to do it alone. You have to I mean, obviously you have to deal with your grief in your own way, but there are still going to be people to help you through it. They can't take your grief, but they can help you, as long as you remain hopeful and still have things to care about. It's a good message. And we don't really think about things like that in comic book related material, but it's always there, especially the best stories, the best films, TVs that are based on like comic book stories, all that stuff. It's there. All the deep seated emotional payoff, heart-wrenching stories. They're all there. You just got to look for it. Good writing helps. And having a team of people behind said film or TV show that really care and understand it. I mean, that helps too. And that's what this show felt to me. This show felt like a love letter to the characters. It felt like a personal love letter to someone going through a lot of trauma. I don't know if that was the intent, or it was just because we need to demonstrate that Wanda is going through some stuff, and that, hey, look, even superheroes aren't immune to trauma. Even superheroes aren't immune to dealing with their grief. It has to happen. And at the end of it all, is Wanda through it? I don't know if it's a spoiler to say, no, we'll see Wanda again. To what extent she'll be through it or not, that remains to be seen. But we know that this show is going to go lead us right into the Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange sequel. But before that, we're going to get Spider-Man No Way Home in December, which they've not said that there's a connection to WandaVision, but the idea of the multiverse is still prevalent and yeah, I think it's safe to say, I don't know if we're going to get Wanda in the next Spider-Man movie, but I do think the actions and the what has happened in this show is going to inform that movie, as well as Doctor Strange 2, and probably actually a few other things as well. But again, you'll have to interpret that your own way when you see the episode. McGee, you have still not watched. Oh my God. You need to watch the show. You'll love it. I really think you will love it. It's fantastic. It's just, if nothing else, even if you take the superhero aspect away from it, it's just a very well written, odd show, and it's made for you. It's made for you. I promise you. Give it a shot. And that goes to all of you out there. If you haven't tuned into WandaVision, I let some details slip if you haven't checked it out, but not truly important stuff. It's not going to take away your experience, I assure you. So give it a watch, especially that finale. I'm not gonna lie to you. This show has made me emotional a few times, but the finale made me emotional quite a lot. And it was right when I was drinking my morning coffee too. So this is like, it's too early for this. McGee has to finish Vikings first. Fair enough. Vikings is wonderful. I could talk about Vikings all day, man. It's like I thought that might be on the agenda. I don't know. Be on the lookout for that if you follow us on Feeding the Monster. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I could talk more about WandaVision, but I feel like there's just there's more to say when we're going full spoiler territory. But we're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna give you Viking spoiler. Why would I do that? No, I'm just saying I could. If there is a desire to hear myself and other people talk about Vikings, McGee, if you want to talk about Vikings, we'll do that. We will make that happen. I will not spoil anything. Except I will say Bruce Willis was a ghost the whole time. And Rosebud was his sled. So those are the spoilers you get. And then one more thing. And then Godfather 1 is the superior Godfather film. Yeah, I said it. So there you go. What does this mean for the MCU going forward? I think it's again, it's hard to say without spoiling anything, so I won't. What I will say is that excuse me. I think Spider-Man is No Way Home is going to be a wild ride of if you thought the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the animated film, if you thought that was crazy, I have a feeling we are going to be in for something ridiculously insane. That's my thoughts, but I've been proven wrong before. So let's let the internet fanboys theorize all they want. They're probably already theorizing, and they're probably going to be just as disappointed as they were with the fact that none of their theories are going to be right, just like WandaVision. So, but hey, speaking of the MCU and going forward, in now that WandaVision is over, we have just 2 weeks to wait until the next MCU chapter, and that is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the continued adventures of Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes. Well, like I don't even know what this show is going to be. All I know is after the results of Endgame, we need a Captain America because we don't have Steve Rogers anymore. Whether or not he's dead or alive, I mean, I won't say because apparently, because McGee, you're killing me, McGee, you're killing me. Yeah. Okay, McGee, I'm gonna make you a list. How about that? You cannot watch WandaVision until you have watched at least the end the until you've watched at least the last 2 films of phase 2 of the MCU, and you definitely can't watch it until you've watched phase 3. So yeah, you do have to watch that. And if you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you got to go like all the way back to phase 1 at least and watch Captain America. You at least have to watch the Captain America trilogy, and then Avengers Infinity War and Endgame before you start watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's your homework assignment if you haven't already. Or, you know, if you don't want to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, then it's like, okay, well then don't worry about it. I mean, yeah, it is homework, but is it really is it really work? It's not. It's an adventure. It's a cinematic adventure. It's not homework. I wish to God my homework had been diving into cinematic adventures. Funny enough, I was a film minor in college, and I took a course. We had to take this intro to cinema course, okay? And it was called Intro to Cinema. And I was like, okay. Because I'm already a film lover anyway. I'm pretty sure nothing in an intro course could tell me that I didn't already know. Because that's just the nerd I am. And honestly, it was not so much an intro to cinema. Rather, it was hey, here is some movies and how they pertain to racial studies. Which again is fine, but that's not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for the class cinema like racial studies in cinema. That's not what I signed up for. I was studying for Intro to Cinema. And there was like maybe one movie we watched that was relevant to the curriculum. And then the rest were just random movies that dealt with like racial relations. And I went, I know I'm in Mississippi right now, but how is this relevant to Intro to Cinema? Like, you're not showing us any of the films that had an impact in the history of cinema at all, like at all. So I watched some really horrible things. And it's just like they were horrible not because of the content, but they weren't filmed very well. And then some of it was the content as well. Like, did you know Jane Eyre, the story Jane Eyre has a prequel story? It's like called like Sargasso Sea. I don't even remember the name of what it is, but we had to watch the film adaptation of it. And I was like, this is so stupid. And like, this film's not even good. This story's not good. Why am I here? Why am I watching this? And we had several movies like that. And so, in that regard, doing homework, diving into cinema was not fun. You're right. So, in that regard, sure. But the MCU is all fun. So, come on, man. As they say on Parks and Rec, treat yourself and watch the MCU. It's good stuff. And we'll have so much. Think of all the conversations we can have about it. I have a friend via Twitter. I met her at Con of Thrones, but she had never really dived into the MCU at all. And she was when she came home from Scotland, she was in Scotland for a few months. And when she came home, she decided she was kind of like stuck inside because of both quarantine and then also snowstorm in Detroit. And during her shut in, she decided, yeah, you know what? I got Disney Plus. I got all I'll dive into the MCU. And so she did. And she had this. And this is a person that doesn't give a shit about anything superhero related. And she had a great time going through all that and just going through the character journeys. So if she can do it, you can do it, McGee. I believe in you. Zach is currently halfway through Yu Yu Hakusho at the moment. No time for other things. Yeah, but you've seen Yu Yu Hakusho before, right? So just pause that. Also, if you're halfway through it, that means you must be nearing the end of the Dark Tournament. So once you finish the Dark Tournament saga, you're done. No disrespect to the Sensui stuff, but you're done. You're done after that. Um, you're fine. And if also you've seen the show before, so you know you're done after that. So don't give me that excuse. Get out of here with that. Um, but okay, so the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I have no idea what that show is going to be. I just know that we need like there's got to the world needs a Captain America, and it looks like nobody wants to accept Bucky or Sam or Falcon or Winter Soldier. I can understand the public not accepting Winter Soldier to wield the shield. I can understand that because unfortunately his rap sheet is against him because of his missions through history. Um but Falcon I feel, and again I don't know, I guess we'll find out in the show. I feel like he's not going to be accepted to be Cap he's not because he's not Steve Rogers. I think that's going to be it. I don't think they're going to play the race card on that. I really hope they don't because that's so cheap. It's like no, it's like I feel like the story point needs to be, well, yeah, you're an Avenger, but you're not Steve Rogers. Because if that's the case, it's like, okay, fine. So then he's going to have to show them exactly why he is worthy. It's like, and not to mention, you know, where the shield went at the again. I can't spoil anything. I'm just saying, like, he's going to have to demonstrate why he could be the wielder, um, or the symbol, and then I guess Bucky is going to help him along the way. But then, of course, they're going to have to deal with the fact that Zemo is back, and Zemo, after the chaos, he caused the Civil War, um, or at least he was the cog in the wheel that kept it rolling. There was a lot of other factors. I mean, one could argue, well, Tony's the reason why the Civil War happened. One could argue Wanda was the reason the Civil War happened, or one could even say, well, if Steve Rogers hadn't been such a so and so, then it's like, okay. So like there are a lot of fingers pointed in a lot of directions, but ultimately, at least in my opinion, it's like, no, it's Zemo. It was straight up Zemo, and we learned and saw how he did it, or what he had to do to ensure that the Avengers would split. So now he's back, and now he's even angrier because he's like, well, you failed, bro. Because like all the heroes had to come back together for the Infinity War. So you accomplished you accomplished your goal, and yet you didn't, because it only made them stronger. And part of me thinks he has like he's gonna have a special vendetta against the idea of bringing Captain America back. So he's gonna do everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen. At least I think that's what's gonna be in the show. But I'm excited to see it, man, because it looks like it's just gonna be straight up action throughout the whole way. You know what it looks like? It looks like the movie The Winter Soldier. Like it looks like they shot it just like that, even though the Russos are not behind this. They might have like a producer credit, but they're not filming it. But it looks like they are. So I like the consistency of tone. We know that apparently there's going to be a new faction of villains with like wearing like the red hand masks, whatever. I don't know if that's a nod to Red Skull's daughter or if that's going to be something else entirely. But I'm excited to see whatever that's going to be. My only hope is that this show, the episodes are longer. Because as much as I think WandaVision works as a 30-minute, or like a half hour more or less series, I would have preferred longer episodes. It's like, come on, just give me the hour. Pretend it's HBO. Just give me the hour. I really hope Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be hour-long episodes. They probably won't now that I've said it, but it would be nice. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to see what cameos, excuse me, or what reoccurring characters we get on that show as well. Too good to say. Yusuke is about to fight to go. Okay, yeah, all right. No, that's what I'm saying. Once that's over, Yusuke fighting Tagoro means the end of the Dark Tournament. So once that's over, you're done. And then you can stop. So Yu Yu Hakusho again. You Zach, you've seen the show. You know, it's fine. Pause it, and then get on WandaVision, get on the MCU, get on all the stuff that we're talking about, so that you can contribute to these conversations. My God, man, and you too, McGee. But powerful stuff, man. Yeah. Why I want to stay tuned for the opening for the first episode of the new season of Rantings of a Maniac, because here's a spoiler. I'm gonna talk about WandaVision. so make sure that if you're gonna watch the show, tune in to watch it and then listen to the show, because I'm gonna go in depth. I understand none of this. Ugh, I give up. Well, in other news, McGee, there's going to be a Paramount Plus streaming service that I'm not going to get, because enough is enough. Just like I'm not getting CBS All Access. I'm not paying for Peacock. Peacock is trash. I've tried it. I don't like it. Eventually, I think that's going to crumble and fail, and all your favorite shows will go back to their respected streaming services. And I'm not going to pay for, even though everyone tells me Ted Lasso is incredible, and I'm sure it is. I just don't want to pay for Apple TV for one show. I just don't want to do it. But Paramount Plus is bringing back. They're bringing a revival of Frasier. Frasier Crane's coming back, y'all. And frankly, is it a little too late? Probably. But I, for one, would love to know what happened to Frasier, because one of the I think the show ended the way it should. I mean, it had I thought it had a really good ending. Paramount Plus is going to have the new Frasier show. So that's a whole new streaming service. So like if you know the studio Paramount. Yeah. I'm hoping like Prime just buys that out, so that if you have Amazon Prime, you can just watch what they have. We'll see. But I thought Frasier ended pretty well. I thought of all sitcoms with that have really long runs, I thought that ending was pretty strong. But one thing that bugged me was the fact that Frasier, everyone in the family had a really good they got everything they wanted. They were happy, and they even found like significant others and everything. Like Niles and Daphne got together, and she gave birth to their first child. Great stuff. Even Marty Crane, their dad, and help me with her name, McGee. He ended up with is it Ronnie? Is it Ronnie, the lady he ended up with? Like even Marty ended up with somebody, and then Roz, and she's got her daughter Alice and everything, and like everyone had a really happy ending, but Frasier was still alone, and he decided his time in Seattle was over, so he moves to San Francisco. and that's all. That's all we know. I mean, he had I think what makes that episode stand out so much is the fact that his sign off for his last episode, or his last show in his radio show, his sign off speech, which is equally, it's kind of meta because it's also a sign off for him for that character at the time. Uh, was just, yeah, it's made you cry. It almost made me cry too the first time I saw it, because I was like, wow, that's beautiful, man. Beautiful speech, beautiful ending to a great character and a great show, I think. And I personally think Frasier is better than Cheers. That's just me. Um, but Frasier was still alone, and then he's gonna move to another city, like an unfamiliar city, and he's ultimately, because he feels like he's gonna maybe find a loved one over there. But we don't know. So I'm actually kind of glad we're getting a revival, just so we can get the answer to that question. Did Frasier end up happy? I would imagine probably not. Otherwise, there's no show. So maybe he did. Maybe he found someone in San Francisco, but got divorced again. Or maybe he was with someone, had another kid, and that, but then it didn't work out. So it's him trying to figure out life as a father without his father, because John John Malone, that played Frasier's dad, like he's no longer with us. So John Mahoney, not Malone. Uh, so yeah, that would be. It's going to be interesting to see how that show does without him. And then are the rest of the crew going to come back? Like, do we see Perry Gilpin as Roz come back? Do we see Daphne and Niles come back? If Niles doesn't come back, then McGee's going to have a conniption. It's okay to be yeah, it is, but Frasier was not keen on it. The whole point of Frasier was the fact that he was trying to pick up the pieces of his love life after his divorce with Lilith, because that was a very unhappy marriage. But as you're watching Frasier, you kind of realize Frasier it seems like he's a glutton to be unhappy, because he finds ways to sabotage good things, including relationships. He never dates women like Lilith again, because he feels like he's learned his lesson. But the thing is, he hasn't. That's the ultimate that's the ultimate tragedy, I think, of Frasier, is that he just he never really learns from his mistakes. So I guess the idea of him moving to San Francisco in the end is his way of making a change, because he can't just run home to Seattle, where it was convenient and comfortable, and expect oh, this is where my life should be, this is where I belong. But then things don't work out, so he's like, okay, well, now it's now it's time to accept it and move on and go to a different city. It would have been funny if he'd have moved back to Boston, though. That would have been like, because in Cheers is in Boston. But we'll see. I want to see it. I'm obviously very curious about it, but I don't want to pay for another streaming service just to watch one show. So, there she goes. No one tell her about David Hyde Pierce. I don't want to crush McGee's dreams. But yeah, so we got that on the horizon. A lot of stuff on the horizon. Hey, did anybody watch the Golden Globes? Me neither. Get that out of the way. Let's see. I think maybe. Sorry, I was distracted. Yeah. What else to talk about? What else is going on out there? So Zach Anderson's rewatching anime that he's probably seen a whole bunch, and he's about to end on the best part of it. So that's all well and good. McGee is going through Vikings, which there's a lot to be said about the last 2 seasons of Vikings. So I would really very much like to talk about that. And maybe one day we will. Might just dive back into the show. There's been talk of a Viking show, a retrospective show here on the feed. So if anybody would be interested in that, let us know. And myself and Thomas Risling and maybe McGee, when she's done, we will get on that. You'll notice I'm drinking this whiskey out of this glass, this brand new glass, the Good People Association. I'm a founder. If you don't know the Good People Association, they are streamers here on YouTube and podcasters, and they are comprised of 3 dudes that us here at Feeding the Monster are friends with. We know them. We've been fans of theirs for a long time. They're good people. And the goal of their channel is to spread some positivity. There's a lot of negative things out there in this space, and their whole mission is to spread the good, find the good, and share the good. It's a very, very fun channel. I would recommend that if you remotely like anything we do here, you are going to love what they do. If you don't already follow them, most of our audience does. But if you don't, go check out the Good People Association because I'm a founder, and a few of you out there, they send us these complimentary glasses, little bucket glasses, and I adore this thing. So the Good People Association with Mark Riley, Ken Knapsack, and Josh McCouga. Go check them out. YouTube and all the fun places. Sam Elliott, the real Sam Elliott is good people, I'm sure. You, on the other hand, are a goblin. Hey, gotta love the technical difficulties. Yeah, gotta love it. This is what happens when you when you touch buttons you don't mean to, and things happen. And when you're live, you can't fix it. So yeah, that's on me, and I apologize. But I'm gonna take I'm gonna take a quick break to refill, and I might have myself a guest when I come back. So stay tuned. I will be just a quick break. Is it weird that I would come back like right as my own show is promo? I don't know. Yay, we're back. Technical glitches aside, thank you for your patience. I had forgotten I didn't need to take the break to refill because I could just do that right here. So, anywho, hey, what's going on with everybody? Let me hear from you. There's been chat in the chat, but I want to hear from you directly. Tell me what's good. Good talk. No, sometimes the chat, sometimes it there's a delay. If you've watched this enough, then you know for sure. Tonight there was a Schmodown. If any of you out there watched the movie trivia Schmodown, the movie trivia show, very very popular around these parts. There was a very big match tonight, and it was fun. There were, a few things I would probably say about it, but yeah, overall it's fun. But yeah. Did anybody else watch tonight's match? Or were you just sitting idly waiting for moi to grace your internet waves with my presence? Because that's what you come here for, right? You come here for the drunken rambles. You come here for the entertainment value of it all. You come here for just sheer idiocracy. I'm fine with it. I've got no qualms. But yeah, man, I'm basically just stalling for time because I'm trying to see if my guest is gonna come in or if not. But maybe not. And then also I'm probably gonna have to let him know that because I don't know if he's gonna want to talk about WandaVision or not. And if he is, then might have to reaffirm that, hey man, no spoilers. But we'll see. Ooh, I don't often drink this drink neat without ice, but it's nice. It's nice. I quite enjoy it for the thirst traps. Well, I mean, what is the maniac if not a thirst trap? Add that to the list of stupid things Mark says. I can only stall for so long. All right, well, I'll just, I'll ramble for a little bit. Do you ever have that feeling sometimes you have too many podcasts going and that like you listen to too many podcasts and you just don't know when you don't think you're ever going to catch up? Because if you miss one day of your content, then you're like, okay, well, I'll get back to it. But you never do. And then before you know it, a whole week has gone by and it just keeps adding up. And then sometimes you just don't get in the mood to listen to the same old, podcast. Sometimes you want to venture out, listen to music all day, listen to an audiobook or, anything of the sort. I get those moods constantly, which is why I will. And then I follow too many podcasts. So I know for a fact I will never get caught up on any of them. It will be an endless cycle of just, oh yeah, I missed that show, so I don't know what they talked about. And the obvious solution is, hey, you know what? Unsubscribe. Why don't you? And yeah, I could do that, but I don't know. It just kind of feels wrong because I feel like the moment I do that, then I'll regret it. This is an actual thing that you just said. Yeah. Yes. Hello, movie fanboy. Or Fanobi. Movie Fanobi. Oh, movie Fanobi. Okay. Sorry. I don't know who you actually are, but movie Fanobi. I get it. Hello there. Ah, are you excited for the Obi-Wan show? I am, because I have no conceived notion of what the Kenobi show will be. Other than it'll be Ewan McGregor in the desert. uh my other crew wants to invite her on a show. Like my other crew, that there's always an invite. Always. Ewan is fantastic casting. Well, yeah, I mean he's literally, at least in my opinion, he's literally the only thing about the prequels I find remotely tolerable. I'm not a big fan of the prequels at all. I've tried in the subsequent years as my love for Star Wars has been more enriched, and I have an appreciation for some of the story points of the prequels, but just the act of watching them has been kind of it's kind of a drag, because I really don't I don't like them. But Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan has been inspired casting and is absolutely fantastic. And you say you hope he goes off of Tatooine. Well, maybe. There's a chance we could see him go off to like not Navarro, but somewhere maybe in the Outer Rim. Like one, maybe a planet that we've seen Mando hit up. Maybe there's a connection there. Um and obviously this story takes place years uh before the Mandalorian. So maybe we get to see some stuff. My question, I would actually like to see some tie-ins with Solo, because the first time I saw Solo, I just thought it was okay. And then in subsequent watches, it's grown on me, and I actually think Solo is actually all right. I liked a lot of what they did, and I like that they explored a little bit more of the criminal underbelly of the galaxy, and I would have liked more of that. So I would hope, and I like what Mandalorian did with that as well. Although there were still some things that kind of left me wanting. I would hope Obi-Wan would give us a little bit more of that as well. Maybe, we'll see. They want to know who you will invite to the show now. Well, I've got a special guest that's on, maybe on standby. I'm still trying to stall for time. Yeah, yes, there are good parts, as of course. I'm an old trilogy guy because I'm an old bastard. Saw originals in theater and special edition. Wow, well then I salute you, sir. Yeah, I you know what's funny? I would have said that I'm a sequel trilogy guy, but I mean, obviously the original trilogy, you have to give it respect, whatever, but I find myself not going back to the original trilogy all that often. The one I go back to is, well, I guess still technically a prequel in some way, is Rogue One. I love Rogue One. I mean, of all the Star Wars movies and stories you could have told me, I never thought that would be the one that I would just latch onto. But it's really well done. And I really like the crew that they assembled for that. I really enjoyed watching this seemingly small story expanded into so much more. Anything one special? Oh well, look, all my co-hosts, all my guys over at the feed are special. Okay, so don't try to make this a favoritism contest, because it is what it is. What'd you say, Zach? You're a prequel baby, but you can't help but enjoy them. I mean, fair enough. My brother's a prequel baby, so he has a soft spot in his heart for them as well. And speaking of soft hearts, I have a soft spot in my heart for this guest that I'm about to introduce to you guys. He's a friend of mine from years past, a musician and a photographer. Please welcome to the show for the first time ever, Alex Morgan. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, bud?
Oh man, it's
Hear me? Everything good?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome.
I see now why I was stalling for time. It's like, oh, you had to get your setup.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it set up in a minute, so I had to go pull some stuff out. I was like, I think Mark wants me on the show, man. Madeline, I got to get everything. Hold on a second.
I just naturally assume you're always ready to go with everything, so you just have like a little corner space.
Well, to some degree, yeah. She's been doing a lot of I don't know, like Fiverr recording, so she's got like a little thing set up in the closet. So I had to like kind of transplant it from there to here. So that's why it took a minute. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty much set up and good to go. How are you been, man?
I've been. It's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of crazy twists and turns with the personal life and with in the professional life as well. Funny enough, but otherwise, I am surviving. I'm maintaining. It's been crazy over here in your former home with winter storms and and what have you, and not to mention we're still in a pandemic and all that, but you are still really? Yeah.
Really? I don't know.
We'll go there if you want to, but
I don't know if it doesn't feel that way.
Oh,
the sarcasm! Oh, the sarcasm, Mark. You didn't miss it.
Oh boy,
you missed it.
No, I didn't know. I knew I was in for something. I didn't know I was in for that. But okay.
A little bit of sarcasm, Yeah. Well, especially down here in Texas now.
I was about to say, I think that Texas insanity has finally gotten to you. But yeah, how is things over there in Texas?
We're just taking it one step at a time. Been pretty much got down here, and then 4 months later, bam, pandemic. So, people ask me, they're like, how are you liking Texas so far? And I'm like, I guess it was fun for the first 4 months. The first 4 months were fun, I guess. Now it's like the inside of my apartment's cool. So that's fun. But yeah, no, I mean, other than that, it's been really nice. The food down here is phenomenal. We got Whataburger and In-N-Out. So come on.
That's true. Well, I mean, I've been to Texas one time, but we were there for several days driving through and hitting up San Antonio for an opera conference. But every time we passed by a Whataburger, it was like, yep, we have to stop. We have to make a stop at Whataburger.
You gotta get Whataburger. It's the only fast food I crave, man. Like, I don't really ever crave fast food. Whataburger, it's the exception, 100%.
And it lived up to the hype because I had never had it before that, and we had one guy on that trip with us. We go like, we have to stop at Whataburger. That's like the only thing I care about. Really? It's a fast food joint in Texas? Like that's what it's all about. And he said, you'll see.
Oh yeah.
And I saw the light. Very much so. And then several times, like I said, anytime we passed one, it was like, stop the van.
Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, it just goes without saying, if you've ever had it. I know a lot of people, they have their favorites and whatever. Don't get me wrong, there are other great burgers out there, but for the value, the price, cannot be beat.
Well, sir, I'm here to tell you Whataburger
coming to Nashville.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. So good for you. Finally, I leave and then.
You're finally joining up with the 21st century. Good job.
Oh, I can imagine the line getting. Oh my gosh! Yeah, getting into that place is going to be fun. I bet.
I don't know when the grand opening is officially. It's supposed to be soon, but I'm gonna wait.
You're gonna wait a while.
It probably, but it's fine. I'm not in a rush. I remember it's been a while. I remember the burgers being delicious, but not so much to where like it's not like crack to me. I don't need to just like I must have it. I don't have the itch.
You will though. I didn't have it before I moved here, and then.
But now,
now it's the only thing. It's the only burger I crave, other than Smash Burger. Very underrated. If you've never had Smash Burger,
I haven't had Smash Burger. But let me ask you, since you brought it up, and since you have access now to both, where do you go? Whataburger or the In-N-Out?
I'm gonna. I don't know how many people are tuned in right now on your end.
There's a few.
So
I have a combination of California and Texas people in here.
Okay, well, the issue is so that's a loaded question, my friend, because I've had In-N-Out here in Texas, obviously, and in California. I've heard the argument about how In-N-Out's better in California than it is here, and I've heard that whole argument. I've heard you got to have the burger animal style, or you got to have it this way or that way. If you're not doing it like this, and you're doing it wrong. I've heard the whole thing. It's good, but I got to be honest. I don't like it as much. I feel like it's a little overrated. It's a little overrated for me.
Right. Well, here's
that's my opinion. I know that some people are probably rolling over right now, just going like, "Oh my gosh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about." But
it might surprise you.
I've eaten a lot of burgers, and I feel like I hear a lot of different opinions about it, and ultimately, my view, it's not as good. I mean, it's overhyped. It's good, but it's not the best.
What I hear the problem with In-N-Out is the fact that the burgers are good, fine, but it's not enough because I hear that the fries are shit.
The fries are terrible.
That will kill a burger place immediately if the fries suck.
Well, here's the thing. So I've had this discussion with multiple people. So the fries are real fries. Yeah. Real cut fry, which I don't know what a fake fry is, but okay. They say that they're fresh cut, they're not frozen, whatever. It's all potatoes at the end of the day. My God. But potatoes. But I mean, I would argue the best fry out there is I love. This is going to be controversial. McDonald's fries are pretty good. And the thing is what I've noticed, Whataburger's fries, pretty similar to McDonald's fries.
I would very much agree with that. Actually, I'll tell you, I just mentioned I remember the burgers, but it wasn't like crack to me, even though they were very good. But I remember the fries. Mm-hmm. It's like that's, as I say, good fries or like fries will make or break a burger joint to me. Here's a place people hyped the shit out of was Shake Shack. Shake. Yeah, that was exactly. Yeah. I finally hit up the Shake Shack. We got one in Green Hills. I hit it up and I said, "All right, let me finally eat this thing." The burger was okay, okay, and the fries were garbage. And so I said, "Cool, don't need to ever do that ever again."
Which I think universally, it seems like this conversation is met with the same unanimous, well, seemingly in my experience, the most unanimous decision when it comes to fries. Who has the best fries as a burger joint? I already know mine. I want to know who you think has the best fries, and I bet I know who it is before you even say it.
Well, I'm not going to deny, and I know, I'm sure people would be screaming that I won't deny McDonald's is a top contender. However, dude, I'm going to say something.
This is what I'm saying is I already know mine, and I know what most people, when I bring it up, they go, "You're right. They have amazing fries. Can't be beat." I bet you have the same one. I'm intrigued. If it's not what I think it is, I'm going to be.
It might be. So best fries I've had, and I thought it was a lie. Five Guys.
Called it.
It's five, dude.
It's always Five Guys.
Five Guys fries is good. They're amazing.
You come for the burger, you hear about the burger, you're like, I'm wanting a burger, and then you get the fries, and then you're like, oh my God. And then you always come back for the fries. You go for the burger, you come back for the fries.
Give me the fry platter.
Give me the gallon of fries. And that's a small.
Yeah. That's oh, good point. Yeah. So to those in the chat that are agreeing or whatever about Shake Shack and In-N-Out, Five Guys is where it's at for the fries. Burger, fine. Yeah, sure, whatever. It's the fries, man.
It's the fries. It's always the fries.
Yes, it's straight up. It's, as soon as you said McDonald's fries, I was like, but Five Guys though.
I mean, well, yeah, I mean, you can't beat, you cannot beat Five Guys fries. I mean, they give you so many, and
yes, which, for me, that's a big deal because look, hey man, I'm a fatty who loves to chow down, and you give me a lot of fries, I'm going to have a good time. But fries aside, since this is the first time you have graced the show with your presence, man, we've talked about getting you on before. Can you tell the people a little bit about yourself? Like, who are you, Alex?
Ooh.
I know who you are, but what do you want the people to know about you?
Ooh, that's
without getting all Freudian and stuff about it.
Yeah, what do the people want to know? Basically, I'll make it easy. I'm from Tennessee, originally born and raised. I lived in Nashville for 20 something years. Played music, played guitar, made the best run I could at, trying to be a musician. Sure. And as you know, Nashville's a pretty unforgiving place when it comes to music. So I gave up on the rat race a few years ago. And now basically I kind of turned my eye to different arts, went with photography, wanted to do video. Video was not in the stars for me. So I realized I wanted to do photography, got a job as a photographer, doing product photography, and picking up the camera and doing photography is what led me to my beautiful wife. And now me and her found a new job down here in Texas. Now I'm doing product photography full time down here, living with her, with our little dog, and, living humbly, but, we're happy. So that kind of wraps me up. I feel like as far as my accomplishments in my life, but other than that, I'm just a quirky guy who's had a long history with you, and me and you have had a lot of back and forth. And I don't know if you've talked about it on here. We used to have a podcast together.
We did.
Never took off.
It didn't, unfortunately. Just
went down the runway and somehow exploded.
Scheduling conflicts, yeah, and it's just like we couldn't find our voice technically. But it was to those of you who have watched or listened to the things that I've done here on Feeding the Monster, it was not dissimilar. Alex and I had a show called the MTT Cast, which was movies, TV, and tangents, and for the most part, it was tangents. But we tried to incorporate movies and TV, but it was just it would just escalate into
we stayed on track some.
Yeah,
we stayed on track a little bit.
So we had a few episodes of those. I don't even know if they're still out there in the ether. I'm sure somewhere out there maybe. But I had a good time doing those. We just, like I said, we scheduling, and it was tough finding the voice that we were looking for with that particular show, so it didn't take off. But again, I had a good time having the conversations, so I thought we had something special, and it definitely reassured me in that I wanted to stay in the podcasting game. So that led to my solo venture, Mark Talk, on Anchor, which then led me to
watch some Mark Talk,
Being the Monster. Yeah. So which is, rant, and then my solo show, Rantings of a Maniac, is basically Mark Talk part 2. In a sense, it's only a little bit more structured and longer, but not really. Just me ranting.
I brought up the chat so I can kind of keep up here. But yeah, I'm seeing some people are asking the kind of photography I do is just product photography. I work for a rug company down here in Texas called Laloy Rugs.
Those rugs really tie the room together.
They really do. They really do. So I take pictures of rugs, room scenes, just those products that you see online. It's basically a rug wholesaler. So we sell to a bunch of people. So it's really interesting stuff. I take pictures of what you walk on every day.
When you see a picture of a rug from this company and you go, wow, that rug looks amazing. Yeah. It's because Alex shot it that way to make you truly see.
Not always me.
Well, I mean, under your supervision, it's like, how do we make this picture show that this rug ties the room together? And I'm trying to compliment you, Alex.
I know you're too kind.
Okay.
I take some of the photos.
It should be said also. You said you wanted to be a videographer, and that wasn't in the cards. But it should be said, the videos you made back in the day, I really enjoyed, and I really wanted you to keep those up, but you didn't. I was like, that's a shame. But I enjoyed them.
Which any ones in particular that you enjoyed?
You did a video called Dramamine, in which I know, like, you're gonna laugh about it, but it was no dialogue videos set to the song Dramamine from Modest Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And for one, that video introduced me to that song because I was not a Modest Mouse fan at the time.
Right.
But I really loved the song. And I liked what you did. I mean, you might scoff and laugh at it now because you made it so long ago, but I enjoyed what you did, and you did everything in that video. You shot it, you put the effects on it, you were obviously trying to go for something, and I dug it. I said, like, I can't fucking do that. Like, you were basically making videos even when you were doing just kind of solo ventures, and a lot of them were solo ventures, and I go, like, I wish I had the time, patience, and talent to even do any of these, because I would have had my whole YouTube channel would have just been really just dumb videos of me doing nothing. But it was
a sober, angsty teen trying to seem like he knew what it was like to trip on drugs.
I mean, don't we all do that at some point?
I mean, it was I think basically that was the best way to sum up a lot of the videos I made. It was, how can I make this really bizarre, and just how many effects can I throw on these videos?
Yeah, but
I'll just shoot something strange and then see if it sticks.
I'll tell you what really good
luck finding it, by the way, out there.
I know. What really stuck with me about those videos is again, you incorporated like music was a big part of those videos, and a lot of those tracks that you used I didn't know, and I just remember listening to them and watching the video and making the correlation. I really enjoyed it. So you introduced me to Dramamine by Modest Mouse, which made me go and check out more Modest Mouse. And I love Modest Mouse.
Well, you're welcome. Modest Mouse wasn't really even. I mean, that's the thing, is I think that was around the time Modest Mouse was just.
They were just.
Well, they had that album, Good News for People Who Love Bad News, which had Float On, which that kind of around that time, I think that they were starting to kind of blow up, but really no one had listened to their older stuff.
No, but you and I did one time, because you showed me, I think it was like their first demo or something like that, and it didn't even sound like Modest Mouse. It was just like, how high are these guys right now? But it was not only that, you did another video. I'm not even gonna pretend to remember the title of it because it was a long title. But you introduced me to Stake Out by Freeze Pop, which I thought was such a fun little bop of a song. And
I don't know if that was me, but yeah, sure, I'll take credit for it. I think that may have been either my friend Jason or Grant back in the day.
Well, it was in the video. It's you and Jason.
Okay, so it's probably Jason.
Okay, well, regardless, like you're both in the video, and it starts off with that song and you running down a hill, and that just cracked me up, and I really enjoyed the song. So every once in a while, I still bop it. So there's that. And
you can thank Jason for that. Shout out to Jason. I think he actually went further with the video stuff than I did. But I mean, those guys introduced me to a lot of those bands too. So,
but my favorite one you did, was one you and Grant did. Metal Hammer Cologne.
No, that was Marshall.
That's right, not Grant. Yeah. Marshall, yes. Metal Hammer Cologne. That just, and because I remember you even just telling me about the premise of that video, and I was like, that sounds funny, but in my head I was going like, I don't know.
That one held up though. That one actually held up. Yeah.
Yes, it
did. That was the only video I did that kind of held up over time. But yeah, essentially the premise was that there were these two male models, and the one was just like sitting there like, what is that you're spraying on yourself? And he's just like, it's Metal Hammer. And he's just like, and it's just like judging him, just like, do you want to be a real man, then use Metal Hammer? And so he sprays it on himself, and all of a sudden it just goes into this like metal
montage set to Sinai Beach.
Just break. And we did all these like these really dumb things where we set like a candle on fire and just
you're both like headbanging. At one point you take it out of like the microwave, like the Metal Hammer bottle, and you're both
so hot
potatoing it because it's like, oh shit, it's hot. but you both have like your metal faces on, like it's like, yeah, it's hot.
It's so metal because it's Metal Hammer. It makes you metal. It's the body spray for men that makes you go from being weak and just basic to a hardcore metal kid.
And the punchline of the video is so great. You're just like, so what do you think of Metal Hammer?
It smells like shit.
No, it smells like shit. It's like, okay.
It kind of smells like shit.
All that, but I mean, it was a really well done video, especially like all things considered. And that one cracked me up so hard. Because I remember you telling me about it, and then you posted it, and I watched it. I was like, all right, well done, bro, well done. So
thank you. I appreciate you reminiscing about some of my old videos, because I know some people every once in a while will bring that up, that they're like, oh yeah, dude, I watched your video, dude. Where you guys did this, it was so funny. And I mean, I think that was ultimately what made me want to keep going with the video stuff, was just people's feedback. I mean, because ultimately I didn't have a direction I wanted to go with it or anything like that. I just enjoyed, just like with photography, I think I realized that I just enjoyed creating something. It didn't really matter what it was, just creating something no one else had done before. Sure. So, I mean, and then on top of that, I mean, I always wanted to be funny. So, I just tried to make something usually very dark humor.
Oh yeah,
very, very dark humor that I think was not always. Some of the videos were not for the faint of heart. I had to take a few of them down over the years.
Yeah,
looking back,
when people say like, "Well, this doesn't hold up because it was based from out of the time," it's a dated video, and I always go like, yeah, but I mean, and I never really understood. It's like, well, it's only dated because it was really crap, right? And then I think about stuff like that and I go, no, you're right, it's a product of the time. It's like, shit, hey, times change, and at least you acknowledge it, and you're like, yeah,
right.
this probably needs to come down because.
Well, I think it was mainly Marshall calling me because we all grew up and we got adult jobs, and I think the fear set in. That's like,
yeah, like he didn't
I
want
think
to
the
be.
fear set in that was like, what if somebody found this? And you're like,
they don't need to find my video where I'm streaking down the street with
right.
two 40s taped to my hands.
I don't need a
One
of them had Marshall in a shed with no shirt on, covered in blood. So
party time. I remember that
party
one.
time.
That one.
That was my favorite.
Okay, look, it's given where the video goes. I didn't. The first time I watched that, dude, I swear to God, I didn't know where it was going, and I almost cut it off because it was like,
oh, it's boring until the very end.
The video is just you guys just driving around to Crystal Castles or whatever the group was, and it's like, this is so dumb. And then it just goes,
and then all of a sudden just goes bam, just like right at the very end.
But then by the time it was over, I was just like, that was fucking hilarious. Because so yeah, I look, does it work now? Probably not, but bravo.
I appreciate you the fact that you even watched some of those and even remember them is kind of astounding to me.
Because I was one of your subscribers, and I
one of my 10 or 15 that I had.
Hey, look, it's more than what I got right now. It's fine.
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, so that's so for the listeners, Alex and I we've known each other for a very long time. Kind of in a sense grew up together in the music scene, played in bands together. I actually had Keezer on the show, one of the early renditions of the show, and we reminisced about that whole thing. And so you mentioned you're just not doing the music anymore?
Well, I mean, not in the sense of like the way we were doing it.
Right.
I mean, I'm still writing with every once in a while with my wife, like we'll come up with a song or something or I'll come up with an idea and pick around on it. I mean, we're always in that cycle of saying we're going to record some of this stuff or we're going to go back. Hey, this is a cool idea. We're going to write this out and stuff. So we've done a few songs over the years. I'm realizing as we're growing older and we're doing just stuff on the guitar just to have fun. A lot of it is coming out pretty country rootsy.
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but you are in Texas, and your wife has a history of bluegrass and
bluegrass rootsy. Yeah, she does. I mean, and I find it. I don't know if I'm doing it because it's easy or because I'm subtly making fun of it.
So you're doing it sarcastically.
In a way, I think I'm doing it in spite of it. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Actually, yeah, because I feel like there's a lot of people in both country and in the folk scene that do that, but they do it really well, so it doesn't sound like they're being sarcastic, and they just kind of roll with it.
It's like if you just know how to do it, then do it. If you're good at it, do it.
So it's all the rage. So I say if that's the niche that you found, then roll with it, man.
Yeah.
There's obviously an audience for it. You're probably, I mean, how far away from Austin are you? I'm pretty sure that's like what there is.
3 hours, somewhere in there. Yeah, give or take. Everything is forever away. It's not like Nashville where it's like, oh, no, I mean, it's just like, oh, that city's just an hour away. Like here, it's like, every major city, it's like, it doesn't seem like it's that far, but everything's like, 3-4 hours away from each other. And it's just nothing forever. It's kind of like Kansas in a way.
I wouldn't know. I've never been to Kansas, but
never been through Kansas.
No, I have flown over it.
I hope you never have to do that because it's I would say between Arkansas and Kansas, probably the two most boring states to drive through. It's just so flat with nothing. Just no offense to anyone from Kansas.
Well,
if you're like in love with
you
arid, flat nothingness for miles, and that's your thing.
I've spent many a time going through Arkansas, and that's bad enough. So
yeah, I mean, basically, just imagine Arkansas with no hills and no trees. There you go.
Yikes. Yeah, no, thank you.
Weeks away from everything.
And I've Patsy says Texas is a geographical oddity. 2 weeks, 2 weeks from everywhere. Look, when I was in San Antonio, they said, Austin's not that far away, and we drove to Austin. It wasn't that far away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Austin's kind of cool. There's some parts of Dallas or around Dallas that are pretty cool, but yeah, it just depends on where you're at and where you're going. I mean, I feel like it was kind of a big step down topography wise coming here from Tennessee, where it's so green and there's a bunch of hills and it's just so beautiful. And coming here, it was like, oh, what happened to anything at all that was green? And you see a hill out in the distance, and you're like, okay, that kind of like looks like a mountain here. Otherwise, everything's flat. It's really cool though. I will say the sunsets here are amazing. And because you can see for miles, and then there's like all these bridges and stuff that you have to go over, but it is really cool, I will say, whenever you go up on these like big bridge overpasses and you're like, however many feet up, and you can just see out for miles. It is pretty cool. But other than that, yeah, I mean, all the lakes are man-made. I'm pretty sure everything's kind of like man-made. You're like, oh, it's so pretty, and you're like, but it's man-made. It was like you can see where they like dug into the hill, and there's just like construction
falseness of it.
There's concrete on the side of the wall. You're like, wow, nature.
Faux nature. Like, hey, look, Nashville, especially these days, Nashville's not immune to the false nature either. I mean, it's especially in some of the gentrified areas. So and as you know, it's not always green here. And sometimes it can look pretty drab,
especially the winters.
Yeah. It's crazy. Oh, but speaking of winters in Texas, man, like you didn't have to deal with. Did you have to deal with the power outages and all that? Oh my god! So
100%, yeah.
Saunders, our resident hillbilly here on Feeding the Monster, he's a Houston guy, so he's been just in the shit of it all. So that poor guy. Yeah, and it was getting pretty rough. So I didn't know if it's like fully extended out that way.
Oh yeah,
it's been a statewide thing.
Oh yeah, it was pretty much. I mean, I don't really know necessarily statewide, but I know it definitely hit here. I know I think definitely Houston was affected, but we had, it was like sub-freezing temperatures for like 5 days. A bunch of people in Dallas lost power. We got incredibly lucky. So they cut power to a bunch of the houses and apartments, but since we live next to a fire station, we didn't get our power cut. So we got lucky. Other people obviously were a lot less, not as fortunate. A lot of my, coworkers that I work with were constantly saying that they were having to drive around because they had no heat, no power for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Not just like, 4 hours on, they would be off for like 24 hours and cut on for like 2 and then turn back off. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. He would have to get into his car and sitting there for like a long time just to like charge his phone or to get some heat on his bone for a little while.
I think that was a saving grace for a lot of people, was just still having like hot water, just like taking a hot shower because it was just so cold in the apartments. There's people I was talking to that said that it was getting down to like the 40s and 50s in their apartments or their houses. Yeah, just like no heat whatsoever. I mean, I definitely count myself fortunate. It made me I wish we had a little bit of a bigger, apartment or something, or at least an extra bedroom we could have offered up to somebody, because it was pretty rough.
That kind of reminds me, this time last year, Nashville was hit by that freaking tornado. It just rampaged through our particular area. East Nashville once again decimated. I don't know what
that was a year ago, wasn't it?
That was this time last year. Yeah, man. I don't know.
Jeez, that went by fast.
I don't know why the weather patterns have such a hard on for destroying East Nashville, but okay. What with the flood and then the tornado.
For a while there was just Murfreesboro, I remember.
Yeah. And
it was all
but
Nashville.
But the tornado that came through our particular area somehow missed us just by here, but we still had power and everything. But there are surrounding areas in our neighborhoods of people that didn't have power for like 2 weeks, and stay and all through Donaldson and all through that. And I was like, I have no idea how we got skipped from all that, but I'm glad. Dude, we slept through the damn thing. It came right through our area, and we slept through it. We didn't even know it happened until we woke up.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's insane.
I was so worried because I know our friend Chad, and he lives right there, where it came through. So I was worried about him. I was worried about all my friends that live. I was like, oh well, East Nashville. I was sitting there thinking, growing up, I mean, everybody I knew lived in way out in the sticks, and so I was like, oh, so in your brain you think that they still live there, and you get older, and you're like, oh wait, people moved closer to Nashville. As they got older, and I was like, oh wow, this person lived down there. This person, I was making a bunch of phone calls. I just remember waking up, and I was kind of I'm not proud to admit the fact that I didn't know about the tornado until somebody here told me about it. I got to work at 8 a.m. that morning, and someone was like, hey, is everybody in your family okay in Nashville? And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, they were like, yeah, there was a terrible tornado that went through Nashville. And I was like, how did I not know? How did I not hear about that? Yeah. And then pretty much instantaneously after that, I received the news. It was just phone call. People have you heard this from this person? Have you heard? And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. So I was on the phone with everybody. Luckily, everybody seemed to be fine. So
it's a lot. All my people that I talked to were fine too. The downfall was my parents were going to move into this new condo.
Oh,
that's going to be they're minimalizing. There's just this condo. This is going to be our retirement place. We're good. We're good here. The tornado came through that new area and just completely ruined the plans of moving in there. So they had to wait an additional 6 months.
Well, yeah, dude, that's crazy. My mom, the middle school my mom worked at, the West Whistle Middle School.
Right, yeah,
her school got destroyed.
Our old junior high was. And look, and I'm sorry about that because that's I know your mom works there, but here's the thing. Here's the thing.
What are you gonna say?
I hated that place. So I have so many terrible memories of that place.
I think everybody does.
When I saw it in ruin, and it's still there in ruins. They haven't cleaned it up. I can't help but kind of chuck and go, good riddance. No offense to your mom or to and I'm glad no students were hurt, no teachers were hurt. I'm glad everybody's okay. But fuck that place.
Oh yeah, no, it was a horrible place. But that I think out of everything, that was the only thing that really affected anything in my life or anybody I knew. Is my mom's just her. I mean, it's still affecting her to this day. She's having to deal with being reassigned a school and all this stuff. So they wouldn't let any of the teachers go in and get any of their stuff out of the building. It was super weird. Which was so bizarre to me because it was just sitting inside the building and they just wouldn't let people go in and grab these teachers that need their equipment, who have spent their own money on all this, especially my mom. She's an art teacher. So she had paid for all this pencils and paper and all the stuff out of her own pocket. And, luckily she got in there after a while, but yeah, they were pretty much locked it down, wouldn't let anybody in to get their stuff. So
weird because it's just sitting there as a ruin. Like it looks like nobody's touched it or been on the property at all. Like even now, it's been a year now.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently on the inside it's not the case. Like it's just graffiti everywhere.
Well, yeah,
on the inside, yeah. Which I guess somebody decided that was a good idea. I don't know who that. Who goes? We got to put graffiti everywhere. I don't know who that is.
People got a tag. They got a tag, But you would think that they would at this point have already bulldozed it or something. And maybe there's some sort of permit or something that prevents them from doing that.
Somebody's got deep pockets there.
It's Mount Juliet. There's so many deep pockets over there now. Which is crazy. This is the town I grew up in. It didn't used to be that way. It's so strange. But so Alex, have you been watching WandaVision at all?
I have, Mark.
You have. Well, we're not talking spoilers because it's still a little too fresh, but I would love to know quickly your thoughts on the show in general.
Ooh, in general. Jeez. Okay. It's a hardball question there, but I'm just kidding. It's a great show. I mean, I think me as just, and I think I kind of want to give a little bit of a background. I think maybe your audience is kind of more aware of you potentially as being like kind of like a source of knowledge when it comes to Marvel and comic books and movies and stuff like that, which a little bit of a wealth of knowledge. I know some. I'm more of the I've always, when we did this podcast back in the day, I was kind of like the not the super nerd, but the guy who just like knew some about it, who was just like a fan.
Sure.
Who offered up a fan's perspective, not an ultra fan, just like a big fan. And so whenever I saw it at first, so I didn't know what was going on at all. I was just like, I turned it on. And I was like, okay, WandaVision. I knew it had something to do with, Wanda Maximoff and Vision, that basic level. And then, started watching the show, and I don't know if you were like this, but I feel like the majority of the people I've talked to who kind of who've seen the Marvel movies, but don't know everything about it. I mean, I was kind of just like, what the heck is this? What the hell is going on? Like, okay, so is it going to be like a sitcom of like Wanda and them like together? Is that all this is going to be like? And the first couple of episodes, I didn't tune in until week 3. I thought it had just came out, so I was lucky enough to just binge the first 3 episodes.
Right on.
So I was like, oh, okay, what the heck is going on? I was like, all right, this first episode's weird. Second episode, I'm like, okay. By the third episode, I'm like, this is amazing. What is going on? And it just keeps just snowballing into this just like wild experience. It just like takes you on this just like roller coaster of like, I guess the best way I can describe it is, I don't know if you've ever been on the rock and roller coaster. The Aerosmith's rock and roller coaster. You're like in this dark room. You're walking through, and there's like these like videos of Aerosmith, and
years. But yes, I have.
And you're like, why are we doing all this? What is going on? I don't care about this. Why is Steven Tyler talking to me? And then you're in a dark room. What is happening? And all of a sudden, it just goes from 0 to 60 like that. And you're like, what? And then you're going around spins and all kinds of stuff, and you're like, this is inside. What is happening? I can't see anything. Bam. Then you're finally done and it's over, and you're like sitting there just going like, what just happened? That was really fun, but I don't know why it was fun.
It was fun because it was propelled by the power of rock.
That's the power of rock. I'll never forget that stupid ride. He like looks out into the audience, that like video where he's like,
yeah,
your VIPs are here, and he does this with his fingers. He doesn't go like this to like peer out everywhere. He goes who's out there? He does that. I just remember that because he goes, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I hated that so much as a kid.
It's like, I don't know what that is, and I hate it.
It's just so full of hatred, even like judgment from day one as a kid. Just like, why is he doing that? It's so dumb. But yeah, he does. But yeah, getting back to WandaVision, it's such a great show. I don't want to give anything away, but I mean, I'm very it was something I needed pretty badly as far as like even just like The Mandalorian, something after these big movies had ended, and I was just bored, and I'm like, I didn't want another Star Wars movie. Right. I don't think anybody wanted another Star Wars movie.
No, and they kind of killed that momentum.
Right. And I didn't want another big Avengers movie right out of the gate, or I didn't want just like another, Iron Man or another Thor. I'm like, I don't need it. And it was just like this perfect little side story that let me really sink my teeth into something, just like The Mandalorian, something like it's like a small departure from from what we are used to seeing all the time. And the same, it just, because you see Wanda Maximoff a little bit on the show or in the movies, and you kind of get a little bit of an idea or a sense of her background and her relation to Vision, but you don't really feel it until this show. And I think that it was beautiful, and just seeing that love between Wanda and Vision just grow and just like solidify. It kind of just like, you saw it in the movies some, but I didn't really like care until I saw this show. If I'm being honest,
it's funny you say that earlier in the show. That is exactly what I said. That's exactly the point I made, because it wasn't just you. It was a lot of people that are not familiar with the traditional comic books and things, and that, like, I knew a long time ago. It's like, well, yeah, Scarlet Witch and Vision, they're like, they're a couple. That's right. Kind of just the norm. That's the thing. So with their introduction, and they laid little subtle hints that they might develop the romance maybe, but they were they were still kind of they were holding back on it. I would argue that Infinity War and Endgame really sort of
I feel like they didn't really. That's what I was going to say. Is I think Infinity War was the first movie where we really even saw some sort of semblance of a relationship between those two.
There are moments in Civil War, like the seeds are planted, and you can see it there, and you can see where Vision is starting to evolve as a being, because he's starting to feel feelings for Wanda. And there's, he has that moment where he's talking to Tony when Rhodey has his accident, and he goes, I was temporarily distracted, and like, that's not supposed to be possible. It's like, I know, like, okay, because he's evolving, he's feeling more in tune with Wanda, and I'm glad. And yes, and if they had left it in the movies just like that, I still would have been okay with it, but I would have been like, I wish you'd have given me more. So the fact that we got this show to really expand on that relationship and show us why they feel the way they do about one another, and why this relationship is so important to both of them, but really to Wanda, was really special. And as I said earlier in the show, I was on board for it, but I didn't know I really needed it as much as I did, because it's an absolutely fantastic show, and I cannot wait. Again, no spoilers for the ending, but you all, if you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and watch it.
I mean, I've been trying to convince people to watch it, because they're just like, what is this? I'm like, hey, you just have to watch it. I'm just like,
it really is for everybody. Like, even if you're not in tune with the superhero thing, don't think of it as a superhero show, because it's not.
It's not.
So much more than that.
It's the first Marvel, I feel like, Marvel series movie, whatever. Because I mean, really, honestly, let's say movie, because honestly, that's pretty much as far as anything coming out, it's been movies. that people are familiar with. It's the first Marvel, I guess, television show, because I know there have been other ones, but that has come out that, like, it doesn't feel like it's so hyper focused on somebody's power or ability, or
Right.
it's about somebody struggling with something, and it like manifest, like, it's not about like how powerful she is. It's about like how did, and you kind of get like a bit of a history and everything. Everyone cares about like how this happened, but I feel like the emphasis is more on like the pain that she endured and like the emotional toll that she had taken on over the years, instead of just like
Trauma and grief.
just being like, oh, there was an explosion, they got gamma poisoning, and now they're super strong, or like, this guy's really smart, and you're like, who cares? Like, I don't care about. I feel like, and that I also argue that that's what people care about more, and why people are so obsessed with the Joker and his character in DC, is they care more about, and I feel like why in his Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was so loved was it wasn't about like his thoughts or like his conniving or his scheming. It was about the pain that he endured and like the struggle that he dealt with. I feel like that's what people relate to more, and that's why I cared so much about Wanda, was because I was like, I wanted to know more about that part of her life and the struggle she had. So,
and I'm that's one of the things I'm very thankful for this show for, is the fact that they gave us I mean, just because I'm me, and because I am more, I guess I'm just more in tune as a comic book reader and everything like that. It's like I already cared about Wanda, but this show really gave us a full reason to care about this Wanda in the MCU. It gave us a reason to really care about Vision, and
right.
And this, I said it earlier in the show. If this had been a standalone movie, well, we never would have gotten a standalone movie.
Oh no,
with Wanda and Vision, like it never.
And I don't think it would never have been as impactful as the show was.
And yeah,
never.
And it definitely, and they wanted to tell the story a specific way, in this way, and it wouldn't have worked as a movie. So I'm glad we got a full series of it, and I'm glad we got more time to spend with them and to spend with how they are dealing with the situation. And I'm so happy for it, as a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as a fan of these characters. And and I'm glad, as you are not typically a comic book person, but this show still,
not a reader, at least.
Right. But I mean, like, this show was still able to speak to you and turn you, kind of just like Mandalorian. For like me, I'm not a humongous Star Wars guy. I'm not. I can enjoy Star Wars, but I'm not like steeped in it. And Mandalorian changed my mind, and I have done multiple shows now saying, who would have thought that a show who would have thought that the Mandalorian, a show about a Mandalorian, would be the thing that got me back into the Star Wars hype train? Because I was out. I was done. I said, I'm done.
I think a lot of people were done with Star Wars. I mean, I was tapped out. I mean,
there was discourse of Last Jedi, like, and I love Last Jedi, but I mean, the discourse of the fandom like killed me. At the first time I saw Solo, I was like, yep, whatever. And I sorry, I hated Rise of Skywalker. I know there's plenty of fans out there for him, but I hated it. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done with Star Wars, man. This is just, it's over. It's done. And then about a Mandalorian comes around and just completely changes my mind. And I was like, what a world I live in. It's crazy. And so with that in mind, I was already on board for WandaVision, but I didn't realize just how much it would emotionally impact me. And that's just a good sign of good storytelling. And that's what ultimately
it really is
about. It's good storytelling. It's good stuff. And I would encourage everybody to definitely
watch it,
because it's not just about, superhero costume fighting. No, it's so much more than that. I said it in the show earlier. The best of these movies, the best stories are the ones told from a different perspective, a more emotional and personal perspective. So give them all a whirl, give that a whirl. And you know what? We're going to call it a night. Alex, do you want to tell the people where they can find you on social media if they want to find you and
yeah,
goings ons?
Yeah, I mean, just check me out. I'm mostly just on Instagram for the most part. Don't really do the Twitters, so your best bet's just find me on Instagram. It's just A Charles Morgan, at A Charles Morgan. That's where you'll find me, and I post photos of what I do, mostly pictures of my dog. So if you like dogs, I got a little Yorkie. He's a little 7-pound ball of fluff. So you can look at that. And yeah, I'm definitely happy to chat with anybody who wants to hit me up on there. And other than that, just be looking out. If you find me there, you'll be able to see where I put all my photos. So yeah, if you care about interior photography and home decor, that's what I do. So
there you go. And be on the lookout for that ironic country album by the Morgans coming to your
area. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
you, and of course you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mark the Bat. You find me here at Feeding the Monster podcast feed, our YouTube channel, and of course our the podcast feed. Wherever you find podcasts, subscribe, rate, do the things, share the things. We've got a plethora of shows. We got our new season. I guess it's really already started, but I mean, we're going to be getting into some more deep thicket stuff coming up.
I'm looking forward to the time when people have time to watch the show, so we can not worry about spoilers so much, or have like a spoiler alert thing. Because I want to talk to you. I have so many questions about WandaVision that are driving me crazy that I want to ask you. So hopefully I can come back and talk to you, because I'm just going to drill you on all these things, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So
of course, yeah. And look, I've got just as many questions as you do. But and speaking of that, so be on the lookout, everybody, for the upcoming episode of Rantings of a Maniac, because I will be diving into WandaVision spoilers on that one. So make sure you actually watch all the shows, all the episodes, get it in your mind, and get your questions ready, because I'm sure I'm going to be addressing them. I have so many, because I want to talk more about this show. It was amazing. Yeah, I think I covered it all. Find us, rate us, subscribe, and be nice. And I want to thank Alex for being my guest tonight. Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, of course. Everyone in the chat for chiming in. Thank you as always. And hey, you know what? Drink responsibly. And when you do that, make sure you're doing it
responsibly,
because, pandemic and all. So there's all that. So good night, everybody.